There's been lots of talk in the newspapers this week about making a national public holiday in Scotland to remember the life of the man William Wallace. The great Scottish patriot and hero. Now I'm all for that, but I think one thing we don't remember enough is Wallace's connections to the Borderlands here. So I'm going all in today, I'm not mucking about. I'm going to show you a couple of sites which are not only memorials to Wallace, but have actual connections to his life. One was constructed by him apparently, and the second, and believe me when I say this, is Wallace's grave. So today I'm on the old Drovers Road, the ancient pathway between Yarrowford and over to Traquair and in Arlesen. Fantastic route, you can still see the road very, very clearly. The views are spectacular. But just off the Drovers Road in this area is the ancient monument known as Wallace's Trench. But does any trace of Wallace's Trench survive to this day? Let's find out. I think this is it. It's not quite so easy to spot when you're right up at it. It's quite easy to spot from a distance, you can see it, but when you're right up at it here, it's quite difficult to spot Wallace's Trench. Pretty sure this is it here. It's very overgrown, I should have came in the winter. But there is a little stone there at the front to mark it. Let's venture into that jungle. Now the legend goes that in the years prior to the Battle of Stirling Bridge, Wallace and his gallant company were hiding out here in Ettrick Forest, and they constructed this trench as a form of defence and possibly hideout. That's the romantic notion, the one that I want to believe. But for me the ditch is probably more ancient than that. But I think that Wallace and his men did have some connection. They probably found this ditch and utilised it for their own cause. There's definitely a Wallace connection to this trench. Now it's a very remote location, but for me it's well worth it to come up here and immerse yourself in the Wallace mythology, the history. You know, you can go to Stirling and see the Wallace monument. That's just a tribute. This is real. Wallace was here, fighting. see this area here, where the ditch is even more pronounced. It must be about 20 feet high at one side. It's a very, very large scale engineering project for its day. So the next site we're going to is probably less well known than this one. Well, definitely less well known than this one. Maybe a bit more dramatic, and certainly easier to get to. Let's go. William Wallace's grave. Quite difficult these days to comprehend just how important the town of Berwick-upon-Tweed was during the Scottish Wars of Independence. The only real remnants of the Scottish city are the castle ruins on the hill there. The old Scottish castle here was at the epicentre of cross-border fighting during the Wars of Independence, probably more than any other place north or south of the border. The castle changed hands 13 times during the Wars of Independence, and finally in 1850 it was destroyed. What was happened as well to make way for Berwick railway station. Complete sacrilege. Massive walls here. On the north side are really all that remain. Sad. Northumberland County Council tried to paint a picture of the castle history with billboards and such around it, but they're a bit English biased and they're a bit benign. The real history is far more violent and bloody than the picture painted by the Northumberland Council today. One of the bloodiest, most unthinkable in this day and age acts that happened here on Berwick Castle was after William Wallace's execution in London. A quarter of Wallace's body, mainly his right arm apparently, was sent here to be displayed, hung over the castle walls as a warning to all other Scotsmen not to betray Edward Longshanks. But the question I want to ask today is what happened to Wallace's remains once they were taken down from the castle wall? And this could be one of the most controversial subjects I've ever encroached on this channel, because the English and Scottish versions of this history are poles apart. Behind me here It's one of the oldest, widest, and most important in all of Berwick on Tweed. But why? Now, it's a well-known fact that the churches and also the KOSB Army barracks over there on this street were constructed from stone and masonry, plundered from the ruined Scottish castle down on the Tweed. But perhaps the stones that build the buildings are not the only Scottish artefacts in the street. Right, this is Wallace Green. And this is where Scottish historians will tell you that William Wallace's remains were buried. The English version of events is rather different. They believe that Wallace is a derivation of Wall Green because it's close to the old walls of the town. But answer me this, why would you evolve the word wall into Wallace? It's a well-known fact that in the early 1300s, James Douglas, the Black Douglas, and a band of his men besieged the ancient town of Berwick upon Tweed from this very site. And I believe that it was possibly them who knew that Wallace was buried here and renamed this street in his respect. To all the English soothsayers, the ones who say, no, 100% Wallace was not buried here. Answer the two questions. A, where was he buried? And B, why did they change the name from Wall Green to Wallace Green? There must have been a reason. As with a lot of my research, a lot of my snippets of information come from old books, and this one came from this book, Brave Borderlands, written by H. Drummond Gould in 1920. I believe Drummond